Hi everyone, welcome to the Movieception Show. My name is Fariba, and tonight's a big night, the night that we all been waiting for. We're about to watch the Mandalorian Season 3 finale, which is really insane because it still feels as if Season 3 had just began a couple of weeks ago. It doesn't seem as if we're already at the finale, yet we are already at the finale. I know last week we had a really epic episode where we saw a lot of things going on in Mandalore. The fact that Din Djarin is basically imprisoned by Moff Gideon. We finally saw Moff Gideon come back, after, a long absence. We now know that he is now back into the villainous scene as we had all expected. A lot of our theories were based on what we thought were going to happen. The fact that we did see Paz Vizsla basically sacrifice his life, and then of course the biggest reveal, of course, was a Praetorian guards that just came out of nowhere just to kind of get this instance of okay, well, does this suggest that we're about to see a possible Snook? Are we going to see Palpatine? There's been a lot of questions going into the finale after having seen the penultimate episode. The penultimate episode really did set up kind of this banger that even though there was a lot of action revolved around it. There was a lot of mystery involved on it. We did get a lot of answers for one thing, of course, again, with Moff Gideon, with Mandalore. But at the same time, it's there's a lot of questions I feel have yet to be answered. And I feel this is, hopefully when we get to the finale tonight, it'll at least answer a lot of things, in particular, where the direction is going to be moving forward. For instance, now that we kind of know what season 3 is really setting up, moving forward, it's what we are seeing is basically kind of the culmination of what could be leading up to what is a Mandalorian movie. We learned about this a couple of weeks ago at Star Wars Celebration, that one of the 3 movies that is anticipated to be made is a Mandalorian movie, the one that is focused on, Din Djarin and Grogu, that is supposed to kind of be the culmination of everything that we've seen so far in the Star Wars Disney Plus series, which is the Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and as well as the Book of Boba Fett. And all of these stories are supposed to kind of set up that film and basically be kind of its own end game in a sense, right? Which is really insane when we think about it, but that's what we're getting the gist of. And so, as much as the fact that a lot of people have been complaining about season 3, I mean, I also have my own opinions about season 3. I do think that season 3 has been a bit inconsistent. Moving forward, whatever we're seeing now is going to kind of be the build up to not just season 4, because I'm pretty sure we're getting a season 4, but the fact that this is going to be the lead up to what will be eventually that Mandalorian movie that we're going to get. So definitely going to be keeping my eyes open to kind of see what's going to happen, how they're going to end off season 3, what it's going to imply for the future of not just the Mandalorian, storyline, but also how it's going to affect other things like the Ahsoka series and all that sort of stuff. I know I've been hearing a lot of theories about it ever since that episode, so we'll see how that runs. Of course, again, as I mentioned before, this season, as much as the fact that I'm excited to see the finale, and last week's episode was incredible, it was pretty epic. I think I would even say it would definitely go in as one of the top 5, Mandalorian episodes that we've seen so far in the 3 seasons that we've had. It's definitely been a bit of a mixed bag in terms of season 3, because, I mean, for one thing, I would say maybe the first 2 episodes are pretty decent. I had a, good time watching them. It did set up some things, but then, of course, after that, the storyline kind of did seem like at least the middle part or the middle act of the story that we've been seeing so far in season 3 has been a bit, underwhelming for sure. It does feel like as if a lot of the storyline that we've seen so far has been a bit more in the filler side of things. Although, again, at the same time, a lot of the stories that we've had so far, I know a lot of people are complaining about the Dr. Pershing, digression that we've had. I believe that was episode 3. A lot of people were not a big fan of that. I think I've been, vouching for it, saying that, that episode wasn't just made for any random reason. If we're seeing Dr. Pershing on Coruscant, that means that it must be building up to something. So I'm just going to assume that going into the finale tonight, we're probably going to be going back and referring back to Coruscant. I mean, I'm going to assume that this is going to be the episode that's going to finally connect the dots a little bit more, especially with some of the things that has already been set up from the previous episodes. But even then, with that being said, I will still say that some of the like that's just the whole storyline, the consistency of it hasn't been as coherent as a lot of us would have wanted it to be. Like I would say in comparison to the previous seasons, right? Like with season 1, I thought that was a pretty good season. Like it set up the whole arc of things, gave us exposition. I think tonally it was very consistent. Like there wasn't really too many ups and downs. Season 2, I thought, started off a bit slow. But then I think what really made it such a great season is that it really built upon each episode of what will be eventually become the momentum moment in season 2 finale. And I think that that's really what it kind of set up. Like it really kind of built up that dynamic going into the final episode. And it did it so in a way that the whole buildup was very consistently, set up. Like it got better and better each episode. And so, I mean, for me, I personally think that season 2 is one of the best episodes, like not best episodes, but best seasons of The Mandalorian, just because of how they really kind of fleshed out the things going each and every episode up until season 2. Whereas I feel like I haven't been feeling that with season 3. Like there's definitely been, like, for the one episode where we had Lizzo and Jack Black, I mean, I personally had no problems with it. I think I enjoyed it for the most part. I do get the sense that the episode itself did feel like 80% filler, and then 20% of it that was really relevant was basically the ending of it. So yeah, I do think that there are some valid criticism going into season 3, like the whole general part of it, like it isn't as what a lot of us would have imagined it to be, like story wise. I do think that the story has been a bit inconsistent. So but yeah, I mean, with that being said, right, like I think what matters is that fact that they did have a really banger penultimate episode, and hopefully as we're getting into the finale tonight, we'll get a really good conclusion, hopefully one that will give us a bit of a better idea of what we're gonna get, maybe in terms of season 4, because I'm pretty sure season 4 is basically going to happen. I think it was either It was either Favreau or Filoni. Either one of them had mentioned how they're already working on season 4. So I think we're going to definitely get a season 4. Like I think what we're going to see in the finale is going to basically build up to that. For all we know, it could also be setting up Ahsoka, because we're going to be getting that later this year in August. So lots of questions going into that for sure. And then of course, again, like, we'll see how it all goes. I mean, I've been hearing a lot of things, a lot of murmurs about the finale. I think even some of the stars have mentioned how, it might break some people's hearts. So definitely going to be containing my emotions a little bit today, just to get that ready. But yeah, I think without a doubt, I'm excited to see the finale tonight, just to kind of conclude what has been season 3. Hopefully, like what we saw with the penultimate episode, we'll get a really big one with the finale for tonight. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right down into the Mandalorian season 3 finale.
To destroy the fleet, evacuate everyone. Use the capital ship as a decoy. We can't beat them in the air. We have to beat them on the ground.
Understood. I'm entering upper atmosphere, but I have my orders. I'll return with the truth. Axe.
Why do I have a bad feeling about something? Oh, whoa. Nice. Oh. Finally, we're seeing Mando in action, though. Oh, shit. Oh. He can't catch a break, can he?
No. No.
No. Baby saved his daddy. Oh.
I'm okay. Help me up. Will you cut me loose? Yes.
Oh.
Thank you for your help. Grogu, I'm gonna need you to be brave for me, okay? We can't keep running. If we don't take out Moff Gideon, this will never end.
Oh.
Launched. Their capital ship will soon be destroyed.
But the Mandalorian has escaped.
Yep. As always.
Shall we engage?
No, I'll take care of him myself.
Oh my god, I got some Darth Vader vibes from that suit.
R5.
Ooh.
I need you, buddy. You're gonna have to scomp into the base.
Ah, I love that they're playing the Mando's theme song.
R5, how are those schematics coming?
That's once the fleet, come on. The scouting party, everyone go. Move! Go! Go! Move!
He's gonna take care of the cruiser. Ooh, is he gonna... Ooh.
Load everyone onto the dropships.
Ooh,
Go!
is he gonna sacrifice himself too? Dang, he's gonna single-handedly try to take them all out, huh?
Open the shield!
Nice. Oh, nice.
Next shield.
Ooh. Oh no! Oh no!
R5, next shield.
Eh.
Shield.
Nice. Oh no! There's more of them! Oh no! Those are creepy.
That's not Gideon. Those are his clones.
Hello. Oh! Baby's scared! My baby's scared!
We've taken refuge in these surface caves since the Purge.
It's green. And hospitable. Nice. Nice. Oh, hey, okay. Nice. This is like a mini scale endgame. Ooh. Okay. Oh wow, this is actually so insane. Oh my god. Oh wow. Oh no, this is not a good sign.
By adding the one thing I never had. The Force. I was isolating the potential to wield the Force.
Oh, what?
And incorporating it into an unstoppable army. You smothered them before they could draw their first breath.
Oh, so that's why he needed Grogu's blood, huh? Oh no! Oh no! It's a Praetorians! Oh no!
No.
No! Don't you dare touch my baby! Oh my god, if you touch the baby, I will be pissed. No, my baby!
No!
No, my baby! No, my baby. If you kill Grogu, I will go berserk mode. Grogu! Oh no! Nice. Ooh.
I've got this. Go save your kid.
Eee. Ooh.
Or fight.
I would have murdered them. I would have murdered the Praetorians. Use the force, girl. Use the force. Don't you dare. Nice teamwork. Protect the baby.
You did good, kid.
Oh. Oh. Oh shit.
Hand over the dark saber, and
No.
I'll give you a warrior's death.
What?
Mandalorians are stronger together.
That's 4 though. Ooh. Baby! Oh, he did it again! He did it again! Oh, he did it again! I'm so proud of you, Grogu! Oh, oh. Grogu, I'm so proud of you! Oh, yeah, he's tired. The kid is super tired. Aw, so they're gonna inaugurate Grogu too.
Is too young to take the creed.
Aww.
He must remain a foundling.
If his parent gave permission, couldn't he then become a Mandalorian apprentice?
Yes, but his parents are far from here. If they're even alive.
What does that even mean?
Then I will adopt him as my own.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way!
Let it be written in song that Din Djarin is accepting this foundling as his son. You are now Din Grogu, Mandalorian apprentice.
Okay. Din Grogu.
You must leave me.
Oh! So they basically reclaim Mandalore, right? That's basically what's happening.
We really
Oh my
appreciate
God.
what you did. You made our jobs a lot easier.
It's not him, kid. One of them reminds him of someone he knew. The Outer Rim, let alone hunt down Imperial remnants. And I need work.
Let me get this straight. You want to work for the New Republic?
Oh!
On a case-by-case basis. An independent contractor.
Approved.
Which is why you won't tell them.
Let me think about it.
You already did. It's a good deal.
IG-11?
Greetings, citizens. I am IG-11,
Hey.
your new Marshal of Navarre. I am here to serve and protect the...
Oh. The fraud trick. Alright, so that was a Mandalorian Season 3 finale right there. And I mean, I'm going to talk about the finale in two different ways. So I'm going to talk about, first off, just the episode alone, just talk about it, how I feel about it, and then I'm going to talk about, of course, just how it fits within the whole general sense of what we've seen so far in the Mandalorian story. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I think this was a pretty good finale. We really had an action-packed episode right here. I think it's really funny because, like, after having been complaining so much about how Din Djarin has been so sidelined this whole season, like, this was the one episode where we finally saw him kind of shine through as, like, the big character. Like, he was actually far more important than Bo-Katan in this episode. So it was really nice seeing him actually having some action for himself, like not having to feel like the damsel this whole time. Like, he actually had far more action, far more of a purpose. He was serving a lot more in this episode than he was this whole season, basically. And I think this is the one time we actually saw a bit more interaction between Grogu and Din after kind of like waiting for so long just to see kind of how their story has been progressing. So this episode finally does kind of give us a bit more of, like, you know, seeing the face, not face of course, but like just seeing Din Djarin for one thing. Like, that was something that was really refreshing just to see after kind of, again, that frustration the last few episodes, just mentioning how, like, we haven't really been seeing Din. So it was nice that they gave him the spotlight this episode. And even then, like, they really did a good job of just kind of balancing out, like, okay, let's focus on the fact that there's going to be sort of this, you know, clones versus, you know, Mandalorian fight, but then there's also going to be a much more, you know, specific fight between Moff Gideon and Din Djarin. So definitely, like, a lot of great sequences that we saw from there. Bo-Katan, just her having to wield a dark saber, we see some pretty cool moves with that, although I don't know what that's gonna mean now, having seen the fact that, you know, Moff Gideon destroyed the Darksaber, so I don't know what that's gonna mean moving forward. Kind of seemed a bit, I will say there's some things where I would say, like, a lot of it just kind of seems a bit lazy. Like, the fact that he was able to easily destroy the Darksaber, that was a bit of an interesting take. Like, I was like, I thought it wouldn't be that hard, but I guess it is that easy to break apart a Darksaber. I guess in a sense, like, how you can break apart a lightsaber as well. So, I mean, I guess it makes sense, but I just seemed a bit too easy for one thing. But, I mean, we'll see how that goes, how this is going to... I don't think it's going to affect too much, but the thing is, like, we see at the end, like... I mean, at the end of the day, like, this whole episode kind of... I don't know, it's really interesting, because it felt as if watching this episode, it felt like it was the series finale. Not even just, like, the season finale, like, the series finale. Just the way that they really conclude a lot of the big storylines. So, like, for one thing, they finally kind of conclude what it has been basically kind of been Bo-Katan's, you know, biggest, you know, journey, which is to reclaim Mandalore, get all the Mandalorians to populate Mandalore, and then, you know, just get her title back as, like, the royal of you know, the Mandalore planet. So they resolved that for one thing. And then another thing is that they also resolved the whole situation for Grogu and Din. Like, it seems as if by the time we get to the final moments of this episode, like, they're basically living a happy life. Like, they don't, it doesn't seem as if there's anything kind of implying too much of what the future is going to pertain to. And they don't really open too much into, like, what could be a possible future storyline for season 4, which I mean, there's one thing they do mention, which I'll talk about in a second, but aside from that, like, and another thing, like, they basically cut off Moff Gideon. I think as of this point, we can now say for sure Moff Gideon's done. He is, you know, dead for good. I would say, like, I think this is basically, unless, like, he somehow survived that fall, that you know, that fire ablaze in that, you know, Imperial cave, like, unless he somehow survived that, I think at this point we can say for sure Moff Gideon is without a doubt dead. So there's definitely going to be this whole of, like, if there's going to be another season, like, who would fill in the villain role, which I'll get in a second. But they, again, this is what I'm basically saying, is that they really kind of conclude a lot of big things in ways that, like, they really kind of, like, make sure there's really no big loopholes. Like, again, they kill off Moff Gideon, they resolve the matters between Grogu and Din Djarin, and allowing them to kind of finally have their peace, right? The fact that we get these really tender moments between Din and Grogu, how, I mean, yeah, this whole season, like, I mean, let's be honest, this whole 3 season, we've been seeing kind of how their father-son relationship has been developing, has been growing. And I think at the sense when we get to season 3, or when we started season 3, we already got the sense that, like, they're already sort of the father-son figure. And now it's like they kind of finally make it official that Din Djarin is now the adopted father to Grogu. So that was definitely a really nice jab to get into. Like, I mean, lots of great moments we do get out of Grogu as well, like him fighting using his force. A couple of scary moments there with the Praetorians, but luckily enough, he survived. He was okay. That's all that matters. And again, he actually had his own moment as well, saving Din and Bo-Katan. So that was there was a lot of great sequences to see from this. Like, I mean, overall, like, I enjoyed this finale. Like, it definitely seems, again, it feels like a series finale than really a season finale. So, like, I don't know what that would mean for season 4, because, again, I've been hearing that, you know, they're already working on season 4. So, like, maybe there's gonna be something, a whole new thing being set up. Like, maybe that's gonna be maybe an after effect from Ahsoka, I'm gonna assume. So that's something that probably I'm gonna keep an eye on for. But yeah, that definitely felt like a series finale right there. Like, a lot of things are concluded, a lot of things, like, a lot of the loopholes were basic kind of, you know, filled in. The fact that, again, they claimed Mandalore, so that story arc is basically done with. Like, I thought they were going to maybe, you know, continue that up until, you know, season 4, like, maybe there's gonna be more to it, but I guess they went right into it, just wanted to get that over with. So don't know what that would mean for Bo-Katan in future episodes of Mandalorian, if there's gonna be more. But yeah, definitely, again, I think overall this was a really great episode. Had some really tender moments, had some really action-packed sequences, some great fight moments that we get. Again, there are moments where I do think that maybe the writing may have been a bit lazy, like the whole Darksaber fighting sequence right there, or Yeah, just as, again, like, overall, like, I think aside from those small pieces, I think I enjoyed it. I think I didn't enjoy as much as the penultimate episode, just because I think the penultimate episode had a lot more going on. Like, it felt far more epic. I feel like there was far more higher stake to it, whereas this one definitely felt it was in a more safe area, but like making sure that, again, that everyone kind of had the happy ending. So I know a lot of people are probably going to be contemplating that, they're like, oh, like, I mean, it's nice to see this happy ending, but what is this gonna mean? Like, we got this Mandalorian movie coming out, like, this is what we got. So, like, is there even a necessity for a Mandalorian movie? So, I wonder if that's probably where season 4 is gonna be. Definitely a very different journey, very different take. Because, again, I swear there is going to be season 4. I've been reading about it. I'm pretty sure I read that either Favreau or Filoni were already writing it. So I'm just going to assume that season 4 is going to just be a whole new storyline with the, you know, existing characters that we do have. Because, again, like, they really end off things with Grogu and Din Djarin pretty quickly. Now, having said that, one thing I will say for sure that they didn't really tackle was the Coruscant story. I think that's the one thing I will say that they do keep things open. I think that's probably where season 4 might be heading towards as, like, the main focus. I mean, I think for one thing, like, one of the things that they set up, you know, that episode, I think it was episode 3, I believe, where they focus it on Dr. Pershing, like, the fact that they are in Coruscant and we do see Alia, like, I mean, that gives us the implication that, okay, like, Moff Gideon's alive. She's probably, you know, one of his closest supporters and all that sort of stuff. And she's just, you know, handling, you know, some businesses that need to be handled and all that sort of stuff. Like, that could be the take for it. I think that that's just a bit too of, like, a granular thing to be doing. Like, I think there has to be a far more bigger purpose to that. So I think that if there's anything that I think it's going to maybe continue or hint what season 4 is going to look like, I think it's going to be involving Coruscant. The fact that they even, I think in the ending, right, where we see Din Djarin talk to the rebel pilot and ask him, hey, like, I need to look for some work. I'm gonna be a bit more selective. I want to kind of be under the High Republic's payroll or the New Republic's payroll, but also in a very, you know, low-key way and not kind of, you know, in their payroll. Like, the fact that he wants it to be a bit more secretive about it, it's like, okay, I think this is where we do see a bit more of that connection between Coruscant and Din Djarin and Grogu. So it seems as if, for one thing, like, going into season 4, that's probably what it's kind of leading up to, is that we're going to see another whole journey for Grogu and Din Djarin, and I think it's going to be very much connected to Coruscant. So that's going to be a very interesting bit to see, of course. Like, I don't know if we're going to ever revisit Mandalore again, knowing that they really basically quickly resolved the matters here in season 3. So I'm assuming that season 4 is going to focus on the Coruscant stuff, like the New Republic, the fact that, you know, there's Dr. Pershing. I mean, again, I think a lot of it's going to maybe depend on what's going to happen to Ahsoka. So I think that's why we haven't seen too much of how season 4 is going to play out, if there's going to be season 4. I don't think they officially confirmed a season 4, aside from the fact that, you know, Filoni and Favreau had confirmed, like making the developments of it. I think the other question would be is whether or not season 4 that they were, you know, talking about is actually the movie itself. So that's gonna be a big question mark. Like, did the season 4 that they were trying to think of end up turning into a movie sort of vision? So that's going to be a lot of questions. Like, was this actually the series finale that we just saw and that was it? Like, that will be a lot of questions going into just, like, again, going into the next few weeks, just, like, understanding what the fate of the Mandalorian show is going to be like. Is there going to be another season? What this is going to mean for the Mandalorian movie that we're going to get, for who knows when we're going to ever get that. Again, because like, I feel like they really resolve a lot of things, that there isn't really anything too dire going into the film. So I'm just going to wait on and see what happens with Ahsoka, and then maybe from there we'll start to see a bit more development for that. Now, having said that about the episode, again, like, I think that it was a pretty good episode. There was a lot of great action sequences, lots of great moments. Again, we see with Bo-Katan finally seeing a lot more of Din Djarin. I wish, again, we could have seen more of him this season. And of course, Grogu again had his moments as well. Lots of great, conclusions that we see for each of the arcs and each of the subplots, and a little bit of like a tease of what could, eventually be setting up for season 4 if there is going to be season 4. I think having said that, like when we look into the overall of season 3, I think it is worth saying that season 3 isn't the most consistent season. Like again, the fact that we actually got to see Din Djarin for the first time in like 6 episodes is I would say it's a bit of an issue. Going into season 3, right? Like just the fact that we finally got to see Din Djarin kind of get the spotlight and, finally getting his side of the story being the focus of it all and not him just feeling like a side character. Having seen that, like it definitely feels as if season 3 has been a bit inconsistent. Like the fact that I've been saying, like I was expressing my frustration for the fact that Din Djarin has been really sidelined as a character. He hasn't really been showing up this whole time. Ever since episode 2, he just kind of been in the background. He's only started to reappear maybe in the last few episodes, and this is the one episode where we finally saw him finally having the limelight as like the leading character, but it took so long to get there. Like it literally took the final episode to get to this moment. So I will definitely say that this season has not been the most consistent in terms of its tone, in terms of its pacing. It's definitely been all over the place in terms of all of those aspects. I wish it could have been a bit more organized, a bit more well managed than the way that we did get. Because again, I feel like a lot of the middle parts of the story did kind of get a bit too filler-esque. But again, I think the one thing I'm happy is that they do conclude the Mandalorian story. We did get what they did tell us, so I think that's one thing to say about it. I just wish that season 3 could have been far more consistent. Again, for one thing, and Din Djarin just seemed like he was a side character for most of the season. And I think even what really surprised me is that Bo-Katan kind of did feel like a bit more of a silent character this episode than ever before. Like I think this was the one time where she actually wasn't, the big main character. So again, a lot of the inconsistency I've been seeing throughout, I wouldn't say I'm too impressed with season 3. I feel like there are ways I wish it could have been far better written and far better paced. But having said that, at least they do end up concluding season 3 with 2 pretty good episodes, and in a way of concluding the whole season that they developed with the Mandalore story. At least they had finish that off in a way that is very satisfying. Again, closes up any loopholes. And again, giving us a little bit of tease of what could become future plot points if we do get a season 4. So yeah, I think that's just about it. There really isn't much to go into other than the fact that, again, this is, I think the finale alone, for the most part, was good. I still think that the season 2 finale is the one to beat in terms of finales in The Mandalorian. I think there was just so much more going on in that whole finale. And I think this one, again, it's not a really bad one. I think the fact that we got to see Grogu just have his moment again, the way that he uses his force to save everyone, the way that really calls back to season 1 where we had a similar scene in the finale as well, where Grogu came and saved everyone from kind of what was the blazing fire coming out. I think it was a cantina, but just to see those parallelism, that was great to see. There was a lot of parallels. There was a lot of parallels that we got to see between here and there. The fact that we got to see again Grogu using his force, that was something that was really cool to see. The fact that Moff Gideon was explaining why he had those clones, the fact that they were trying to build a whole new set of clones that were force sensitive, that's very intriguing. I wonder if that's going to mean something in the future, just because the fact that it was mentioned, it must be significant for some reason, right? So the fact that they even implied that they were trying to build these clones, generate these clones that have force powers, right? That sounds really scary for one thing, of course, but also what could this mean for the future? So definitely questions about that. What does this set up? Could we still see a Moff Gideon clone that did survive? Could that be a possible scenario? Again, there's a lot of ways that season, if we were to get another season and kind of just speculating what the movie could focus on. Like, these are things that could become possibilities. Like, I mean, again, like the fact that he was even building clones is like, whoa. That might even explain some of the things that we saw in previous seasons, why he needed Grogu. Maybe that's why they needed him for those experimentations. So lots of questions about that, of course. And again, the fact that there's going to be like the other fractions, like the surviving Imperial officers, like what does this mean for them now that, you know, Moff Gideon's technically dead? How does Admiral Thrawn come into the picture? Like, there's gonna be a lot of questions about that. Like, I mean, at least that's gonna be Ahsoka, so we're gonna probably get that eventually. But yeah, I think that's just about it. Like, I think, again, we got some snippets of things. They really go deep into some of the lore, set up some teases about, like, you know, Moff Gideon's clones, Grogu's powers. Definitely questions about whether or not, you know, we'll see a point where Grogu may need to start learning how to use the Force a bit better. So could we see Luke Skywalker come back? Like, I mean, it could be a bit more of a far-fetched thing, but anything could happen, of course. Again, like, it seems as if Din and Grogu are having a very happy lifestyle in Navarro, so, and waiting on tasks to kind of come to their way. So, yeah, I mean, anything could happen at this point. I think, again, like, the fact that they conclude things, like, I think it's more of like a safe bet of like, okay, whether or not this series will get renewed for season 4 is going to be a lot of question marks. Even though, again, we've been hearing that they are writing it. We don't know if that was meant to be the movie or there's a separate thing. Like, lots of questions about that. I think there's a lot of unclarity right now going on in with like the whole Mandalorian series and like, again, the latest developments that we did get out of it. But yeah, aside from that, I think, again, I enjoyed this episode for what it was. I think that overall, like, as much as the fact that the season hasn't been the greatest, I think that the last 2 episodes has been great. And I think that's just about it to kind of conclude things, right? Like, I mean, I enjoyed it overall. I had some really strong reactions, some really great moments. And yeah, I mean, hopefully we'll see a season 4, and hopefully that would, again, set up a lot of things that could become the Mandalorian movies. So that's all I have to say about the Mandalorian season 3 finale. What are your thoughts are? What do you think about the finale? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Did you think, how do you compare this to some of the previous season finales that we've had for the Mandalorian? How does it compare to season 1, season 2? I mean, as I said before, I prefer season 2's finale. I think that's probably the one to beat. And I think that season 3 was a pretty decent finale we did get. I think, again, it was a pretty good way to set up, you know, follow through with the penultimate episode. I think the penultimate episode was far more epic than what we got with the finale, but at least we do get a conclusion. What do you think about the actual, like, you know, the endings that we do get from this episode? Like, did you like them? Did you not like them? Do you think it was a bit too quick? Maybe there could have been more to them. What are your thoughts about that? Do you think we're going to have a season 4? Are we going to get a season 4? Was it meant to be the movie, or is it going to be a separate thing? What are your theories about what could be the future of a Mandalorian series / movie, if the, you know, whatever that's going to be? What do you think about Grogu and Din Djarin's, you know, relationship? The fact that we get some really tender moments here. The fact that he does adopt Din Djarin. I mean, Grogu is now Din Grogu now. What do you think about that? What do you think this is going to mean in terms of the relationship moving forward? And let me know if you have any other thoughts with this episode, whether it be the episode alone, theory, speculation, any sort of thing. Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to like and subscribe.